In this lesson, we will trace the development of the varied and thriving economy in the North. The northern colonies consist of the middle colonies of New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, and the New England colonies. Northern economy. Under the theory of mercantilism, the purpose of the colonies was to create wealth for the mother country, which in this case is Great Britain. Business in the colonies is going to grow at a faster rate than in Britain. Northern cities, colonial New York and Pennsylvania. These areas are the most diverse of the colonies. The area between Virginia and Massachusetts were neglected by the English in the early 17th century. This allowed the Dutch and the Swedes to establish colonies along the Hudson River and the Delaware Valley. Dutch New York. Netherlands and England had an economic rivalry in the 17th century. By 1670, the Dutch had 120,000 sailors and more shipping capacity than the countries of Spain, England, and France combined. The Dutch had established ports in Africa and Asia as well. In 1609, Henry Hudson, who was an English sailor employed by the Dutch, explored the coast and discovered the Hudson River and Bay. The Dutch are going to settle near Albany, New York, establish Fort Orange, and begin a very profitable fur trade. In 1625, the Dutch established the city of New Amsterdam on Manhattan Island, which is pictured in this map. Also, they establish a colony in Delaware, and Peter Stuyvesant becomes the governor of New Amsterdam in 1646. Early settlers in New Amsterdam included Catholics and Jews. It was a very religiously diverse colony. Dutch colonies. New Amsterdam was a Dutch colony with the Dutch as a minority. English colonies also outnumbered Dutch settlements. In 1660, for comparison, there were 33,000 settlers in New England. There were 25,000 settlers in the Chesapeake area, but there were only 5,000 settlers in New Netherland. The Dutch colony did not grow as fast as the British colonies, partially because the Navigation Acts hurt the Dutch colony, partially because the Dutch had more attractive settlements in other areas of the world, and the people in the Dutch colony weren't exactly satisfied. England is going to capture New Amsterdam in 1664, and King Charles is going to give it to his brother, the Duke of York, which is why it becomes named New York. Pennsylvania. A man named George Fox founded the religion Quakerism in 1647. They were called the Friends of God. Their belief system included the belief that every soul has an inner light and contained divine goodness, and that all souls could achieve salvation. Men and women in Quakerism were their own priests, but the English government considered them subversive and imprisoned and executed many of them between the years of 1661 and 1685. William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, was jailed 4 times in England just for being a Quaker. In 1681, Penn applies for a charter for a colony on the Delaware River, and he was granted the charter. Penn advertises the colony widely in Europe. Because of its prime location, good soil, and good climate, the Quaker colony is going to grow very quickly. Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, there was very good treatment of Native Americans. William Penn showed them respect by paying for the land that he took from them and then reselling it to the Quakers. There was no alcohol sales in the colony. There was a regulated fur trade, and the Native Americans learned English, and the settlers learned how to speak to the Native Americans. Other tribes soon moved there because it was friendly to Native Americans. By 1700, Pennsylvania had 21,000 residents, English, Irish, Welsh, and many Germans. There was also religious toleration in Pennsylvania, so many Quakers and Catholics settled there. The northern farms in these areas were more diversified and not as dependent on cash crops as they are in the South. By 1760, 1/3 of all English ships are being made in the American colonies, and the colonies are growing rapidly and producing more iron than in England. Many port cities also spring up in the north, where they did not in the south. Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the first planned city since Roman times. It had a grid-like street pattern, which can be seen here in the map, which is easy to navigate. It had open squares for markets and parks, which can be seen here, paved streets, police patrols, and well-oiled lamps. It was considered the largest city in America in the mid-1700s.